This is a little video about ways to explore your paints and come to understand painting or mixing color. So I used one of these round plates that I have and made a circle. I got that area kind of light, but I think you can see it. And then I'm going to try to divide it up into thirds. I just eyeball it, but get it as close as I can. Now I've got little cap lids off of gallon water jugs. You don't have to make it this neat. Certainly don't have to make it this neat. But this really lets me space it out. Let's see, I can, oops. I'm going to evenly space 3 more caps between each of my 2 major caps. Okay, so, and like I said, you don't have to be neat with this at all. You don't even have to have circles. I'd have a big circle, but past that you could just do these any way you want. So that looks about right. Okay. This is something you're going to want to keep. And I've got 2 different kinds of color wheels that I'd like for you to make. There's a lot of work in this, and you might not want to do it all, you know, right away, but you can work on it every now and then, and you'll learn tons about your colors, but it'll also help that you have a record of it. So I'm going to finish doing this, and then we'll start. Okay, so here we've got this little chart. Now we need to pick a yellow, a red, and a blue. And I don't really care which ones they are. Let's see. Let's do, as you can see like that. Let's do, well, one of my favorites is Nickel Azo Yellow. Of course, it doesn't even look like yellow much to you there. Now that it's wet, it looks a little bit lighter colored than it does when it's dry. This is a really powerful yellow. It is very bright, very intense color. And then we have, let's pick a blue. And let's say that I guess I'll use ultramarine. I haven't been using ultramarine much lately. So now I want to keep these really clean and pure as I'm doing them. And then I'm going to have a red. But let's work with just these 2 for the moment, just because of space. Okay. So what I want, oops, already spilled on my freshly bleached table. There we go. Okay. So let's go back to some clean water. Okay. Now, remember originally we had a triangle made up of 3 circles that we started out with. So this is going to be Nickel Azo Yellow. This is going to be ultramarine. paper towel, of course. These are getting pricier and pricier and hard to find. Okay, so I've got a fairly strong mixture here. So what I want is, I want kind of a mid-tone. I don't want it to be super pale, and I don't want it to be real, real dark. When the colors are real dark, sometimes it's hard to tell enough about them. And I don't want to use that brush. Hold on. Darn it. Where did I just put them all? Turn this off. Okay, I've got a number 10 round here. Let's see, does this show? Yeah. So I'm going to paint in. Again, you don't need to be super neat about this. Okay. There. You know, if you wanted to, I have an idea. I have a new idea for this. Well, we'll come back to it. Now that's one pretty bright yellow. You can go a pretty deep yellow with this. The lighter you make it, the brighter it is, though. This is true of most yellows. Okay, so there we have these two. Does this show? Let me make this all show. I tell you what, I'll set this up here. We'll do it like that. Okay, so now what we want to do is, we want to mix the yellow and the blue together to make a green that goes right here in the middle. Let's put some of this over here. I may have to get more color out later. And wash my brush out really good because I don't want to contaminate my blue. Let's see what those look like mixed together. Now this is not going to make a bright green because we used ultramarine, but this is one of the things that you're going to be learning about. Okay, well, that's good enough for me. I don't know exactly what a middle green between these would look like. I've never done it before. Okay, so I'm going to paint that in here. But you can see that this is a pretty quiet green, even though we're using a really strong bright yellow. The blue is dulling it down because this isn't a greenish blue. This is a you know, like a turquoise. This is ultramarine. Well, all right. So now we need, here's our green. We need a yellow green. So let's just put some more yellow into this. In fact, I think I'll just scoop some more up from out here. Is that too much? I don't know. I don't have a perfect level of this. Okay, that looks pretty yellowish, do you think? Okay, let's try that right here. See how that looks. Yeah, I'd call that a yellow green. Okay, so we've done that. Now guess what we need over here? We need a blue-green. So let's put a lot more blue into this because we already put more yellow into it. So we got to counter that plus some. Oh, that's not blue enough. I tell you what, let's put a little of this green over into the blue. Let's see what that does. Oh, there's a blue-green. That's a nice blue-green. Look at that. Okay. That's a nice kind of quietish blue-green. That's very, very nice. Okay, so now we have 1/3 of our color wheel. And we know that this green and this green and this green were all mixed with an ultramarine and a nickel azo. So now you have a record of that, which you can keep forever. But we have things to do to the middle too. So let me do one more on camera. Let's do this time, let's do the red. And for the red, I think I'll pick rose. I don't remember whether I had everybody get rose or not. You could use rose. If not, use a different red. Okay. I'm running low on rose. I have to order. Okay. There we go. There we go. Now we got rose, and let's use some more ultramarine. And see, sometimes one color is stronger than another one, and you don't always know which color is going to dominate unless you're used to working with these. In this particular case, I think these are going to be about equal in their tinting strength, at least the way I'm mixing them here. Okay, so I'm going to go get fresh water. Okay, so now we have ultramarine. Oh, we need to put down the red. So I'm going to right here. See, there's 3 circles between here and here, and 3 on this side. So this goes right here. And this is not by any means a true red. This is a little bit of I'd call it a cool red. It leans just a tiny bit to the purple side. Usually that would mean that it will make really pretty purples. An orangey red will make duller purples. But you'll find this out for yourself when you do enough of these. Okay, now are we where you can see? Okay, I think that works. Okay, so let's put some of this red over here. This blue looks pretty strong and pretty dark. So I'm just going to add a little at a time, maybe. Oh, that's pretty. Now look at this purple. It's kind of a reddish purple, isn't it? Maybe I could add a little more blue to it. I'm not sure. That might be pretty near the middle of the purple spectrum. I don't know. I'm guessing at this. And I don't have to guess right. It'll still work. It'll still make a good color wheel. So between the red and the blue, I'm going to come and I'm going to put this purple in here. Now be sure you mix up enough and that you're working really juicy. You want plenty of color to flow off of here, but you're looking for a mid-tone. You're not looking to get it super dark. Pale would be better than getting it too dark, because when it's real dark, you don't sense the hue as much. Okay, there we go. So what are we going to do now? Let's make a bluish purple. So all we got to do is add a bunch more blue into the purple. There we go. Let's see what this looks like. So this is going to go on this side between the blue and the purple. By the way, Daniel Smith has a color in a tube that they call Imperial Purple. Don't order it. All it is this color and this color already mixed together in the tube. So, why waste your money, right? Okay, now we need a reddish purple. Those just don't look quite different enough to me. I think I'll just put some purple over into the red. Oh, there we go. Right there. That'll do it. It's kind of a berry color. It's a color that I really like working with. I have pretty much come to the conclusion that Daniel Smith's quinacridone violet and quinacridone purple are not any better than this mixed. They don't separate like these will, which that might be an advantage. But color-wise and workability, they're kind of difficult, very staining colors, and they kind of grab in the paper. And so I'm sort of not recommending them. So here we've got part of our color wheel. Now I'm going off camera and doing this last part, and then we'll come back and figure out what to do in the middle. All right, so these are still wet, but these are dry. So let's try something out here. Let's see what would happen. I'm going to put a line through here. Now we can't do this with all these colors on this, but we'll do some. And right here in the center, here, I'll just put a big one right here in the center. Why not? And I could have picked any two colors that were across from each other. That looks to be about the center. Okay, there we go. And let's do one here and one here. This is where a lot of learning comes in. And you may have to struggle to make these colors turn out. And I would say good. Because as you're adjusting and as you're trying to figure this out, and maybe even trashing one of these and starting over, doing another one to get it better. Don't trash your first one though. You can do other things with it. You can cut it out and use the colors to test different places. All right, so the thing is that as you're working with this and you're fighting to make the color mixes do the right thing and all of this, you're learning. This is a big part of the learning process. I don't want someone standing over you telling you how to do it. I want you to do it. Okay, so let's take, this is our reddish purple. And it just so happens that I have some reddish purple left. Goodness, was that the reddish purple? No, this must have been the reddish purple. Oh dear. Well, I thought I had some reddish purple left, but that's just, that can't be right. Well, let's test it out. You know, it's kind of hard to tell when it's in a deep, dark puddle like that. Oh, that is this. You have to, sometimes you have to stir these colors up. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put down the reddish purple. And there's a couple of ways to go about this. I tell you what we're going to do is we're going to glaze these colors. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put this one down here, just like that one. And then we need a yellow green. Where did I wind up with a yellow green? I don't know. So let's mix a new yellow green. It'll be close. Here we go. And let's put the yellow green right here. It may not be the perfect match. It's okay. The yellow green's not going to be as dark as this color over here, this purple, because yellow is not dark. Some colors will let you get real strong darks and some of them won't. And yellows pretty much don't let you get real dark. Although quinacridone gold will go pretty far. Okay, now we've got this circle in the middle too. Oh, that's the mystery, isn't it? I'll tell you what, let's do then. Let's mix this one. I'm going to glaze those two, but let's mix this one. And that'll give you a couple of other things to learn from. So here's our yellow green, and I'm going to take a tiny bit of this reddish purple, and I'm going to drop it in the yellow green. Ooh, not much now, because remember, that's a darker, stronger color, I think. Okay. That's nice, but I think we could use a little more. Okay, that's got to be, I hope I didn't get too much. Actually, that'll be pretty good. Will it? Theoretically, this ought to look gray. If it ought to look gray, which I just don't see any way it's going to do it. If it ought to look gray, I must need more of this reddish purple in it. It's never going to be gray. This is it. This is the color we're going to get. So we're getting kind of an in-between color. Well, that's what it's supposed to be. So you can see that the yellow green and the reddish purple mixed together are going to make a duller color. Try to get that on there a little bit stronger than that. Now I'm going to dry this. Actually, while that's drying, let's do something else. Let's take our ultramarine blue. I've got some of it that's not contaminated. Let's just put a nice shape of ultramarine blue over here. The bigger the better. But you want to have room to write here too. What other color could we put out there then? We could put out the Quin Rose. Do I have Quin Rose left? No. To get some from over here. Oops, that's the wrong color. Oh, I picked up the wrong color. I sure did. Here's the rose. Rose isn't that bright and pretty. Again, I don't want to get it too dark, but I want it strong enough. I think that'll work. Let's play with those two. Now we'll get things dry. Okay, so now I want to get this color to be somewhere between here and here. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to take my reddish purple, same thing I mixed together with those. I think I need that a little purpler. And I'm going to make a pale wash. See right here? There, I've got it mixed with some water so it's really pale. Okay, so let's put it on top of the green. Oh, look what's happening. It's immediately changing it. Now, the underneath color needed to be really dry to get the glaze look. Okay. So, That would also be what it would look like with a little bit of purple mixed into it. But particularly when you're making a very subtle color change, glazing can be a really nice way to go at it because you can really see what's happening. You have a little more control than you do when you're mixing all this together. And sometimes it's a little more luminous, better color actually. Okay, so now let's take the, the yellow. Let's see, well here it was. The yellow green. I guess that was the yellow green. That just looks like the green. Let's put a little more yellow in it. I don't remember what I had here. Okay, and a lot of water into it because we want it to be a very gentle mix here. And if you go over the edge a little bit, that kind of gives you a little record of what you put down here. There. So you can see that that's gone a little duller, a little less purple. Let's just call it a little less purple. When you put something as strong as a nickel azo onto a color that tends to be a little dull, which purples tend to be a little dull, you could actually say that was a little brighter, possibly. Thin layer. All right. So what have we learned here? We've learned that these two colors together made that. We didn't get an exact gray. Now, if this was a perfect color wheel, perfectly balanced, which this is not, and was not intended to be because of the colors that we used. The pigments that we used were not a perfect yellow and a perfect red and a perfect blue. So, all right. But anyway, the point is, forgot what the point was. Oh, that if these were perfectly balanced, this would be a gray. But obviously it's not. But we have learned what these two colors look like mixed together. Or we could have done it through here and mixed the actual yellow with the purple. And seen what that did. Or we could still, we could come across here and mix the blue and the orange. The blue and the orange will come closer to making a mid-tone gray. All right, so let's see what happens when we glaze some other colors on top of these solid colors. I should say other pigments. I guess I better clean the spot. I never have a clean spot for everything. And you don't always need a clean spot because you can make your mousier colors this way. But, and mousy colors are important. If everything is bright, then everything takes away from everything else. Nothing is bright. So let's just see what, okay, well let's take this green. Let's take this green, this yellow green, and let's see what it would look like glazed. Now I'm working a little stronger here. Let's see what it would look like glazed over this red right there. That's going to be kind of a dull something. You notice I'm coming out past the edges so I can see what color this was that was glazed over there. Let's pick something else. Let's pick, oh, this is a fun pigment. This is that cobalt blue. Cheap Joe calls it Andrews turquoise, but it's cobalt blue. All right. Let's see what that, ooh, that's pretty. See on top of here? Now, of course, this is wet. You have to see it dry. And so you can put different intensities there. Let's make this stronger. Now, this is an opaque color. I would call this an opaque color. And so when I make it stronger, it's going to cover the underneath color somewhat more. But I'm still working thin enough that it's not truly opaque. So I could get a better idea. See, these are all different. Oh, what happens if I put cobalt turquoise on top of ultramarine? Okay, let's get phthalo green. Can't do a demonstration without phthalo green. I used to not go near this stuff. All right, so let's put a glaze of phthalo green on here. And if you wanted, you could write down, probably should, what these are that you're putting down. So sometimes it might be pure color, and sometimes it might be a mixture. Here you know it's the yellow-green that's right there. So, you know, that doesn't look all that different from the cobalt teal. Although individually they look very different, but right there, at least while it's wet, it looks quite different. Well, how about raw sienna? Let's put some raw sienna down here. Let's see. There. Let's run some raw sienna over this and see what we get there. Now, for those of you who like to be technically correct, okay, here's our primary colors, or I guess we'd still call them primary colors, even though they're not a perfect yellow and a perfect blue, so on and so forth. That is the purest, most balanced yellow and the purest, most balanced idea of blue. But let's call those the primaries. Then this one that is halfway between here and here, this one, we would call a secondary color. And these we call tertiary colors. So you don't even need to know that ever. I'm just giving you that in case. So this would be a good start. Now there's another thing that's fun to do, and that's simply take a color. It could be strong or weak. Make it really juicy. And then pick up something else. Let's see, I think I'll pick up cerulean. See right here? I'm going to put some cerulean out here where it's identifiable, but then I'm going to let them play together. And sometimes it's just nice to see what happens when it just rolls in there. It would be better probably if this was laying flat. This has kind of got a curve to it. So I've got more blue there and ran over my red. So let's just add a little more red out here. Boy, that blue is really moving into the red. More than the red is moving into the blue. And they will actually have their own chemical personalities besides just their colors. Let's put out some Quinn Gold. It's now a Quinn Gold hue. It's not true Quinn Gold. And let's take, oh, I don't know. Okay, let's take a little cerulean and mix those two. And the cerulean's going uphill into the gold. Just kind of interesting. Maybe I want to thin it out a little bit and see what it's going to look like. So I could also get a variety of the mixes. See, I could get, let's put a little more gold right into there and see what they do together. Now, when you do this kind of thing, don't get too far ahead of yourself without putting labels down here. And that's you getting to know your colors, but you've also got a record so you can refer to it. Although I would like for it to eventually become just second nature to you, but it takes some time. So I would write those things down anyway. In fact, there's things that I wish I had written down. I don't know what they were now. So, you know. That's interesting together. That's kind of pretty. Okay. So that's 3 things you can do. You can do a color wheel, then do another color wheel, pick a different red, yellow, and blue. So on and so forth. Raw sienna would be considered a yellow. You have some stuff called Quin Burnt Scarlet. That would be a red. You know, cerulean, for instance, would make a nice blue, or a Prussian blue would make a nice blue. All right. So, and you could use indigo. That's a blue. So anyway, and maybe do, you know, several of these with different colors. And of course, then if I had done cerulean blue here, I would get somewhat different results. You know, so do as many of these as you feel like. Do some sheets that have, but don't do little bitty spots of this. Do something big enough that you can actually really see the color. You know, you need a certain size on it. I've seen people do these little bitty tests like that. You can't really read them, and you can't see how the pigment flows and stuff like that. And then do some of these little things where they just run together, which is fun, and each one of them tells you something different and is very useful. These, of course, also you're seeing darker mixtures, darker, stronger mixtures. Here we tried to keep it, you know, so you could see what it really looked like. You could have done another band around this, I suppose, and done just a weaker, you know, lighter version of this. There's all kinds of possibilities. Okay, that's how you learn about your color. You know, these books that have these mixing formulas and stuff, I just think that's crap. Okay, I said it. We're done. Bye.